For our Ag Weekly segment, we tell you about federal assistance for dairy farmers.
Emily Griffin explains the Milk Loss Program.
The Milk Loss Program through the U.S. Department of Agriculture was designed as a helping hand for dairy farmers who experienced a weather-related disaster in 2020, 2021, or 2022, which caused them to dump milk. In the North Country, this could be due to things like tornadoes, blizzards, ice storms, floods, or the power outages and infrastructure losses that happened consequently. The original deadline for farmers to apply for the program was Monday, but now the USDA is extending that deadline to October 30th. Farmers must submit an application and a milk marketing statement for the month prior to the disaster and the month of the disaster to show the loss. Also, a written statement explaining the circumstances which caused the milk to be dumped. If approved, a payment can be calculated using the average milk production of a cow, the number of milking cows during the disaster, the number of days that milk was dumped, and the price per hundredweight, which is how milk is sold. So, if you're a dairy farmer who dumped milk due to weather between 2020 and 2022, you can find the application on the USDA website and linked on WWNYTV.com. Emily Griffin, 7 News.